What's up? So today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be finishing our two-part series ranking every single weapon in Minecraft from worst to best. In the last video, we looked at every single weapon without enchantments, and in this one, we're going to be starting right where we ended that video, looking at the best weapons with enchantments. And you don't need to watch that video first to understand this one, but if you do want to check it out first, there will be a link down in the description. Anyways, let's do this. So the last video ended its top 5 with basically the best 5 weapons in the game, which is the crossbow, trident, bow, diamond sword, and diamond axe. And that's what we're going to be looking at on this video, but with all the different enchantments. Before we get into the list, I need to add a few guidelines for this video. Because there are so many combinations of different enchantments on weapons, we gotta put some ground rules down. Like there's 720 different combinations of the bow alone. So to sort of nullify that whole long gray in between, we'll only look at weapons with a single enchantment and the ultimate best version of all the enchantments on that weapon. So we'll look at the diamond sword with sharpness, we'll look at the diamond sword with sharpness, fire aspect, knockback, etc., but none of that in between stuff. And also we'll only consider the best version of the enchantment, so no sharpness 1, 2, only sharpness 5. We also won't consider any enchantments that don't add any fighting value, like unbreaking, curse of vanishing, mending, looting, etc. And last but not least, for the bow and crossbow, we'll only be looking at normal arrows. And then the last rule is just that you have to subscribe to the channel and like this video, or I will come and burn your house down. Could be in Minecraft, could be in real life. Do you really want to take the risk? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. Coming in as the lowest enchanted weapon on our list at number 28 is going to be the trident with channeling. So channeling is an enchantment that allows the player to direct lightning at where they throw their trident, which sounds awesome, except for the fact that the only time you can actually do this is during a lightning storm. If channeling could work in a way that would allow you to do this at all times, it would be pretty freaking awesome. But due to the very rare nature of thunderstorms, well, it's just not all that useful. Once in a while, it's gonna be a zappy boy, but for the rest of the time, it's just a trident. And at number 27, we've got the trident with impaling 5. So impaling is a damage enchantment exclusive to the trident that only works on water-based mobs. So like neutral fish, and the big issue with that is that there's not a lot of water-based mobs. You basically got neutral fish, guardians, and elder guardians. Drown don't even count because they're technically undead. It's really quite sad. Now, if you're going after an ocean monument, this is a very useful enchantment to have, but without all the fixins that make the trident great, and just on its own, it is pretty useless. And a little overkill for catching salmon. Coming in at number 26, we've got the diamond axe with Bane of Arthropods. Oh, my sweet child, why did you put this on your axe? Bad, sweet child of mine. Okay, no, never mind. So for the diamond sword and diamond axe, there is a sort of tree when it comes to damage enchantments. The enchantments Smite, Bane of Arthropods, and Sharpness are mutually exclusive, meaning that you can only have one of them. And Bane of Arthropods is the worst one by a long shot. So Bane of Arthropods level 5 adds 12.5 points of damage to your diamond axe. Sounds really good, right? The problem is that damage is only applied to arthropods. And the only notable arthropod in the entire game are spiders. You've basically got a glorified spider killer. And you wasted the only damaging enchantment on your axe with Bane of Arthropods. Now, number 25, we got a first look at the crossbow on our list with Piercing 4. So Piercing is an enchantment that basically gives the crossbow collateral damage. Modern Warfare 2 players, you know what I'm talking about. It basically makes the bolt travel through multiple mobs, and with the 4th upgrade, it goes through a total of 5. The problem with this enchantment is that you're really not going to have a lot of opportunities where you have 5 mobs standing in a row like that. Now, you know, sometimes you'll get lucky enough where you have 2 mobs coming at you in a line, but that's really your best bet. It sounds cool on paper, but in practice just doesn't really work. At number 24, you guys might be a little bit upset with this. We have the Trident with Riptide 3. Now, similar to channeling, Riptide is only available when it is raining or you are in the water. Worse, however, is it is mutually exclusive with Loyalty, the literal best thing you could ever put on your enchantment. So to start off, you have to give up the thing that makes the Trident great just to get it. And also, you know, it's not always raining out. Now, Riptide basically allows the player, again, when raining, that when you throw your trident, you fly with it. And man, do you fly. Riptide has got to be one of the most fun things ever added into Minecraft behind the Elytra. But really, it's just not that useful, in my opinion. And on top of that, you can kill yourself with it because your player still takes fall damage. It's fun and ineffective. At 23, we've got our first sword on the list, and it is the Diamond Sword with Bane of Arthropods. Now, just like the Diamond Axe, it's mutually exclusive with Smite and Sharpness, the two much superior versions of this damage enchantment. The thing that's so funny about the Diamond Axe is it one-shot spiders, which is great. The problem being is that the Diamond Sword with Banner of Arthropods also one-shot spiders. There is no reason you should ever put it on an axe if you have a sword. At least with the sword, you can get all sorts of other enchantments to make it much better, but still, Bane of Arthropods is just not good. Now moving on to 22, we've got the crossbow with multi-shot. So multi-shot is kind of the opposite of piercing for the crossbow. Instead of sending out one really powerful bolt that goes in a straight direction, it sends 3 which spread out towards multiple enemies. And this, in my opinion, is just a whole lot more practical than piercing. I mean, it's pretty common to have a few mobs coming at you in a big bunch, and much less common to have like a whole bunch in a straight line. Now, multi-shot and piercing are mutually exclusive, so I would definitely recommend going multi-shot over piercing, just due to that reason. Just a whole lot more practical. Now, at 21, we've got the bow. First bow on our list with the Infinity enchantment. Infinity is an incredible enchantment, but not on its own. Infinity basically makes it so that as long as you have one arrow in your inventory, you can fire arrows indefinitely, which is really, really good when you have an insane bow, but on its own is kind of like meh. It is one of the best enchantments in the game, but it's just not that great on its own. I mean, it's really just a bow. Now, topping out number 20, we've got Diamond Sword with Sweeping Edge. All sweeping does is just allow the Diamond Sword to cause more damage when you get that sweep into multiple enemies, which is actually quite useful. A Diamond Sword enchanted with Sweeping 3 will sweep 6 damage, which is, you know, it's all right. But this is an enchantment that does much better once you pair it with a whole bunch of other stuff and not as a main enchantment. And at number 19, we've got the Diamond Sword again with Knockback 2. Knockback 2 is a very simple enchantment. It just causes the enemy to fly back further when they take contact with your sword. It gives you a little bit of a break when you've got a lot of mobs coming at you. And it's really good for fighting creepers because you don't have to run away. It's another secondary enchantment. The only real main issue with this one is just the fact that it sends skeletons back and puts them into their optimal range, which is not good. And then at 18, this is actually going to be Bow with Punch 2. Punch is the knockback equivalent to the bow. But due to just the nature of how you use a bow, I would say is much better than knockback on a sword. Because the purpose of a bow is to keep enemies at a distance, this is actually quite useful. Now, when you're trying to snipe enemies, it can be a little bit annoying, however. You get your perfect arc to hit a faraway target, and then you make them bounce back a little further, and you gotta recalculate your adjustments. You gotta start taking into consideration wind velocity and humidity. Oh my god, I'm having Modern Warfare flashbacks. But nah, I mean, it's good. It's just another secondary enchantment. And now at 17, we've got our first multi-enchanted weapon on our list, which is the Trident. This is the Trident with Riptide and Impaling. So this combination is basically only useful for fighting Guardians. In the water, you can use Riptide to close the distance on Guardians that try to stay away from you, and then Impaling just does more damage to them. That's really the only time this is a good combination. And it is useful in that setting, but that setting only. Now coming in at 16, we've got the Diamond Sword with Fire Aspect 2. So Fire Aspect, as you might assume, lights enemies on fire when you hit them. The second level burns long enough to do 3.5 hearts or 7 damage, which in a lot of situations actually takes a Diamond Sword from being 3-shot down to 2. Now it's not instant because you gotta let them burn, but a lot of the times this is actually a very useful enchantment. Although I do gotta say, I prefer it on a bow. Which, shocking enough, at number 15 is the bow with the flame enchantment. It basically does the exact same thing as Fire Aspect for the sword. So flame on the bow adds an additional 4 damage over 5 seconds. This makes the bow do roughly 13 damage depending on whether you get a crit or whatever. And that again actually takes it up to being most of the time a 2-shot, which is very nice. It's really freaking good. I like the way this works too on a bow because you've got distance to begin with. So with a sword, you know, an enemy's close, they're coming in at you. You can't let them burn. You got to keep attacking them. And this works better on a bow just because you have the distance to allow the mob to burn as they're running at you. Sword, you're right up in their face. Sometimes you kill them before the fire really has as much of an effect. But with the bow, it's a very nice enchantment. Add power 5 to that bad boy and you got a spicy weapon. Now coming in at number 14, we've got the crossbow with quick charge 3. The quick charge enchantment allows you to reload your crossbow faster. And if you can get one with level 3, it will actually reload faster than a bow. Really, the only time I would ever consider using a crossbow is if it has charge 3 for that reason. Even though you're still 3-shotting guys, I mean, if you look at the gameplay, it's like it's coming out fast. It's shooting like a speedy boy. And at number 13, we've got the crossbow again with quick charge, but added in with piercing 4. You'll get the occasional double shot, but at the end of the day, it's still pretty much just a crossbow with quick charge 3. Now coming in at number 12, we've got the diamond sword with smite. Now we're getting into the beefy weapons. So smite is another damage enchantment like Bane of Arthropods and Impaling, as it gives a damage bonus to a certain set of mobs. But the thing that's so great about smite is it is towards undead. Smite 5 adds 12.5 damage per shot, taking your diamond sword from doing 7 damage a swing to 19.5. One beefy boy. Oh my goodness. Now the diamond sword with smite is great, but there's one issue. Almost every undead mob in the game, most of the tough undead mobs, the skeleton, zombie pigmen, wither skeleton, all have 20 health. So while it lands a ton of damage, it's so sad because you're just not quite gonna get the one shot on these guys. That said, in total, smite affects withers, skeletons, strays, wither skeletons, zombie pigmen, zombies, husks, zombie villagers, drowned, zombie horses, skeleton zombies, and phantoms. So while it doesn't affect everything in the game, you can see how this is so much more useful than something like Bane of Arthropods that only kills spiders. Anyways, coming in at 11, we've got the diamond axe with sharpness 5. So sharpness 5 is very simple. It just adds 3 points of damage to the weapon, taking the diamond axe from doing 9 damage to 12, able to pretty much 2-shot everything in the game. But at number 10, just beating that one out, is going to be the diamond sword with sharpness 5. So this again adds 3, taking the diamond sword from doing 7 damage up to 10. And 10 is our lucky number because it is just enough to pretty much 2-shot everything important in the game. And on top of that, sharpness applies to everything. So it's a 3 damage increase across the entire board to every mob in the game, which for the diamond sword, which attacks super quick, gives it a really nice damage per second. Now moving on to number 9, we've got the diamond sword again. This is our first full enchant on the diamond sword. So this is the diamond sword with Bane of Arthropods 5, Sweeping Edge 3, Fire Aspect 2, and Knockback 2. You see how this video is working? We looked at all the things individually and now they're coming together to make a super awesome weapon. Now if you ever actually manage to acquire this thing, as the enchanting would just be, I don't even want to think about it, it would be a pretty good weapon, except for the fact that it has Bane of Arthropods. I mean, take that off and it's pretty much the exact same weapon. It just kills spiders faster. It's good, but we can do better than that. Like our number 8 spot. This is going to be the crossbow with quick charge 3, making it shoot faster than a bow and multi-shot. The combination of these two enchantments makes the crossbow pretty insane. You're shooting the crossbow pretty much once every second and you're sending 3 shots out at once. I mean, this thing is basically fully automatic. On their own, they're decent, but once you put these two together, you actually get a crossbow that is pretty useful. Now coming in number 7, we finally got our good tridents, and this is the trident with loyalty 3. Loyalty is pretty much a necessity for the trident. You throw it, and it makes it come back to you. What more do you want? Loyalty 3 basically makes that come back quicker, so it's only usually about a second to return to you. And that gives you a weapon that is almost as good as a bow, but can do melee damage as well. Loyalty's got to be one of the best enchantments in the game. Now coming in number 6, a spicy pick is going to be the diamond axe with smite 5. So you know how I was saying the diamond sword with smite takes it up to 19.5 damage? Well, the diamond axe does a little more damage. When attacking the undead, the diamond axe with smite 5 will do 21.5 damage, which, you got it, is enough to one-shot every undead mob in the game besides the wither. You can one-shot skeletons, wither skeletons, zombies, and did I mention zombie pigmen? You can one-shot zombie pigmen, and because they die instantly, won't have time to call their friends after you. And on top of that, it is just so much fun to run around and just one-bop everything in the face. Dude, this thing is incredible. But at number 5, the Diamond Sword, fully kitted up with Smite 5, Sweeping Edge 3, Fire Aspect 2, and Knockback 2, is gonna take the cake. So the Diamond Sword with Smite is gonna do 19.5 damage, but because you now have Fire Aspect, it's going to pretty much again be able to one-shot everything. Not to mention you swing faster. It's just a really, really great time to hit skeletons and then just see them burn. Feels great. Now, number 4, we've got the highest ranked single enchanted weapon on our list, and this is the bow with power 5. God tier weapon. Okay, so it's a bow that can do up to 23 damage a shot depending on randomness of the bow. It's enough to two-shot pretty much every normal mob in the game, and sometimes you will get that lucky one-shot. Power 5 is godly. It just absolutely insane. Now moving on to our number 3 spot, we've got the fully kitted up Trident. This is the Trident with Loyalty 3, the ability to come back to you. We've got Impaling 5, does a ton of damage towards Elder Guardians and Guardians. And you can also throw Channeling 1 on it, which doesn't really add a whole lot, but it's still pretty good. Really, it's only good for killing Guardians, but it is the best way to kill Guardians. You land 20 damage a shot, you get it to come right back to you. I mean, is there really any other way? All right, now we're down to 2 spots. It's a Diamond Sword and a bow. Coming in at number 2 is gonna be the best version of the Diamond Sword. The Diamond Sword with Sharpness 5, Sweeping Edge 3, Fire Aspect 2, and again, Knockback 2. You land 10 damage a shot, you light them on fire, you send them flying back, and if there's multiple guys in your way, you hit them all for a nice, beefy 8. And while it may not be able to land 20s and one-shot skeletons, it is the most versatile sword you can get, and really for that reason, that's why I put it above the Diamond Sword, kitted out with Smite. But ladies and gentlemen, we've got the best weapon in the game. Okay, we know it's the bow, but what is it? What sort of bow is it? Coming in at our number 1 spot, we've got the bow with Power 5, Flame 1, Punch 2, and you remember that other thing I mentioned? Infinity. Dude, God tier weapon. I mean, if you could ever manage to acquire this, you one-shot everything. Because the bow doesn't have consistent damage, sometimes you won't always land the most, and the thing that's so great about this combination is when you add fire on it, it's usually enough to finish off the mob. Because if Power 5 isn't enough to one-shot it on its own, Flame is gonna then take care of them. And you got the punch, which is great. And oh, did I mention unlimited arrows? Like I said, Infinity is something that's really not all that great on its own. But once you have a really good bow, really just with like Power 3 and beyond, you are an unstoppable force. It is just so ridiculously overpowered. And ladies and gentlemen, that is our list. Thank you guys so much for making it all the way through on this one. Oh my God, this is another long one, so I appreciate that. If you are new to the channel and you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later. Let me know what else you want to see. That's it. Peace. Of arthropods. Okay, maybe just cut that off and I'm like, I don't know.